cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna leave. I'ma get right. Get right. Down to the bottom and scratch it for all the.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Our league. Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
And best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
You're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, don't roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down, cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right, cause I.
What up? What up? What up, world? We are back. I'm Anthony, aka Rasta, and this is Get Right Fantasy Network. I'm here with my boy Fish and Frank on this lovely Monday evening. Had a little overtime game. We're a little late here as well, too, kind of following suit. That's all on me. But Frank, appreciate you staying up late with me, man. How you doing? How'd your week 9 go?
I'm doing good, but my week 9 did not go so well, quite honestly. I'm just happy to win the Guillotine League and stay alive. So shout out to our Guillotine League on that. But quite honestly, that was some mismanagement that I was doing. You know what I mean? Honestly, I even went through one of the teams that I left B-Rob in that was out, and I forgot to do some, which I thought I did. I literally was like going through and putting in Rico Dowdle of all people just because I have him on the bench, and I was like,
hey,
and
nice
B-Rob was hurt, and he did good. Had I did it in every team that I had, it would have been fine. I missed a couple. That happens after you have a couple teams. I honestly thought I had.
Welcome to multiple leagues, my guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
leagues.
a little bit like, you miss some of those guys, and I'm like, you wake up early and you're like still not all awake and not ready to like make changes, I guess.
Gotta have your process. Yeah, you'll see, man. With 18 leagues, man, I have my process. Like, and you have to stay true to it. You have to make sure you go through your teams. You have your guys. You know kind of who you have on the fence or not the fence. Honestly, that whole feature that I was kind of more so against at the beginning of the year, I love now in Sleeper, where you can auto start the guy and you don't have to really worry about it as much, just in case something like that were to happen. I still don't like the fact that you can go back, and I don't like the ones where you can go back and play guys who already played. I like it has to be the same guy or later. Like, I prefer it that way, but it does make it nice and easy for you when you're playing in a ton of leagues.
Like the Thursday game guy, right? And you're on Sunday, and you're like, this is if you name it before that week, right? You can have him as your you can have the guy who played Thursday fill in if the guy on Sunday. I don't like that whole thing. Like, I still think it needs to be, you got to play somebody like as if you were doing it yourself. It's just the system doing it for you. You're just kind of doing it early, and then once that news and that little ticker changes from out or healthy, and then it'll make the switch for you. So I don't mind that at all. So I take everything I said back on that in our Dynasty chat. Shout out to Cowbeck for pushing that for us, man. But yeah, I'm glad we have that feature in there now. Now I want to make it to where you can do more than one. Like, I think you can set it to up to 3 that you can auto sub out, just with all these injuries. It's just all the injuries, man. Like, it's so many people just on like,
I'm sure you saw my. Yeah, I'm sure you saw my group chat. I was like, bro, like Smitty's all, talking all crazy, like, oh, I'm taking your number 1 spot over here now. I'm like, yeah, bro, like, you're just taking my number 1 spot heading into week 10. And I've had Rashee Rice, who went down in like week 2. I had, Metcalf been out the last 2 games. I got Olave, who just got his head taken off. Like, I'm down everybody. Mike Evans' hamstring ripped off the bone. We all saw that, a couple weeks ago. He's not back for another couple weeks, and I'm still holding it down in there. So, it is what it is, man. Just, hey, it's a what do they say? It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I hope you got your shoes tied up tight and your sleeves rolled all the way up, man.
All you gotta do is make it to the playoffs. All you gotta do is make it to the playoffs, man.
Just get in there, man. Just get in and give yourself a chance.
Get in, and then you got a chance, right? What's up, Eric? How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? I'm surprised we even have viewers here tonight, man.
We're so late. We're an hour late.
1 o'clock on the East Coast. Like, I'm like, we're not going to get anybody on this stream, but we'll still put it out for the people to watch here in the morning, man. We are talking week 10 waiver wire ads here. Obviously, we just saw that Tampa Bay Kansas City game 24-30 in overtime. Kansas City wins, remains undefeated. And darn Chiefs, man. I told all the Bucs fans out there, shout out to Jeezy. I'm sure he'll probably watch this later, or if he's watching already on the road, drive safe, my guy. But we all know how you guys feel, man. Mahomes, like, you think you have it, you go there, and they just come back and just drive down the field when they kind of haven't even really been doing too much all game. And, just when it counts, they put it in the end zone, like, can't even hold them to a field goal. So it's like, pain in the ass team, man. Chiefs, you love to hate them, but yeah, I just can't do it, man. Can't do it. Yeah. So, anyway,
you know what I did like about it though? This game is Baker Mayfield is
shake and bake.
I mean, I'm like Browns are probably kicking themselves in the butt. I got to tell you what, he's been doing all right. And who is it? Slayton. I even have him as a waiver wire pickup. He was just
Shepard on that last drive. He was looking pretty good.
That dude was like doing some stuff. Yeah, but it was literally that last drive. You're right. But I mean, as you just mentioned, Mike Evans is out. So's his counterpart here.
Godwin.
Godwin is out. Somebody's got to catch the ball.
For sure. And it's just a bunch of rookies. Yeah. And McMillan was out. He pulled his hamstring on Friday practice. Yeah. And he was a kind of a late scratch, so to speak. He was kind of even off my radar. I wasn't really planning on starting him anywhere. But he was kind of, someone we had been talking about last week and, potentially filling in. But he pulls a hamstring as well too. So just a litany of hamstring injuries out there, man. All these athletic trainers should be fired. Like, I don't know what's going on with all these soft tissue injuries, man. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
Them next, man. Imagine if they still had Evans and Godwin, man.
Yeah, it'd be tough. It'd be tough, man, for sure.
They put it to Tampa Bay. I mean, going into overtime and everything else. I mean, still, I'll be at a loss. I mean, they all hurt and everything else. They still put a good effort, valiant effort.
Yeah, they stuck it to us early last season when we played them. They stuck it to us early, and then we were able to come back. But we were a different team last year, man. We're all banged up this year, but in good news, which we'll get to here in a second, the news and notes, man. We might have CMC sightings, so let's get into it. Let's get into it, guys. All right, man. So there it is, man. All right, so it's Monday night, man. We're talking. We'll go over the injury news, of course, like I just mentioned. We'll kind of recap what happened in the other news we have coming up. We had a coach fired. We have QB announcements, things like that. Big changes going on with your team, which we'll get into here as well too. Of course, we will take your questions. So we see you there, Perico, I think it is. We get your got your questions and stuff here in the chat. So make sure you guys keep dropping them in there. We will get to them for sure. You can always drop us a super chat as well if you want to guarantee your question to be read. But other than that, Frank, you want to tell them what else we got going on here on the Get Right Fantasy Network throughout the week?
All right. So, today being Monday night, you're here for this overreaction show on the waiver wires. And we got Tuesday coming in. Tycoon does the fantasy boardroom here. On Wednesdays, we have Phil hosting the Extra Point podcast, doing dynasty trades and player outlooks, and then even prop bets and daily fantasy as well coming into Thursday. And then we have Kendall and the Fantasy Football Tavern, along with the Sweet Life with Pod with Cody McGoats. They're not live on Saturdays, so that's great because I used to be able to drop some shows into the feed here weekly. So hey,
I'm gonna have to update this thing and get a seventh day on here now that we got Jack and Cody going on live. They went live this Saturday for the first time, so hopefully you guys caught a little bit of that as well too. They're not so much a fantasy show. Obviously they play fantasy. McGoats is in our ambassador league. Obviously it's how we met him through the channel. But it's just more kind of football talk. They do a lot of, prop bets, things like that. And then actually we'll have a Get Right prop bet show that's being put together right now between Phil, Kendall, and Tycoon. I can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome. So yeah, man, we're just going to continue to grow here for you guys. Again, make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe buttons for us. But we are 10 minutes in, man. You ready to get to this? Oh yeah.
Wait, we got to say Friday
in the descriptions. Yeah,
go ahead. Fridays for sit starts.
Oh,
so we got 2 shows on there, and I'll just leave it there. I think that's the last
one. Yeah, in classic Sunday morning.
Sunday morning, cast it, Mike. So,
which, by the way, on the 24th, we're going to do actually a combined show with the boys over at the Dynasty Pylon. So shout out to Martin and Brian and Mark over there. So we will do a Sunday morning show where it's kind of just be like a panel of the 5 of us there, taking your questions. So we'll, get our 2 subscriber bases together and just do a bunch of Q&A and get a bunch of different perspectives. And of course, they do focus on a lot of IDP and stuff like that as well. So it should be a lot of fun. I always love getting on with those guys as well too. So that'll be on the 24th, a couple weeks from now. Nice. So with that said, let's get into some news and notes, man. Let's do it. So what do we got here? I think I have a banner for that somewhere around here. Let me see. There you go. All right. So let's talk news topics and injury updates here for coming out of week 9, heading into week 10. We do have well, actually let me back that up here just a little bit. Let's talk about bye weeks real quick, because we have a ton of bye weeks coming up here, guys. We have obviously here this week, week 10, we have Cleveland, Green Bay, Las Vegas, and Seattle that are going to be on a bye. Next week you have Arizona, Carolina, the Giants, and Tampa Bay that'll be on the bye. And then you have the first bye NATO in week 12, which is Atlanta, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, New Orleans, and the Jets. That's a ton of fantasy relevant guys that are going to be on bye week that week. On week 13, there is no one on bye, so we'll have a full slate of games. But then we have the last bye week, and it's another bye NATO with Denver, Baltimore, Houston, Indy, New England, and Washington all on a bye as well too. Again, Baltimore just being out, they're one of the number 1 fantasy producing teams right now with King Henry and Lamar. And then of course, who knows, Zay Flowers been putting up good numbers, stuff like that. But definitely going to be missing a lot of pieces there. Houston with Nico Collins, he's going to come back and be out again.
The NFL guys can't schedule this up better, so they just don't split up like 2 or 3 teams per week being on a bye, and they got to do these bye NATO things. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, but I mean,
we figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so. Yeah, just to kind of make it even, all the way through. But I'm sure it has to do with scheduling and flights and all this other stuff, man, that we're not even thinking about.
That's after you set the schedule, man. That's after
there's basketball seasons going on. They're sharing, stadiums and stuff like that.
What it has to do with that part.
Yeah, it has a lot of that kind of stuff going on too. But yeah, you would think they wouldn't have nobody one week and then like 8 teams on another week. So
right.
It is kind of silly. Yeah, it is kind of silly. But anyway, let's get to some news topics and injury updates. With all that said,
I just wanted to mention that because I don't know, it says players with a good playoff schedule. Since we're talking all these bye weeks, it's kind of correlated because we will get to that more later on. I don't think we're going to cover that specific topic tonight.
Yeah,
but we might drop a couple guys. That's a big topic.
Yeah, we're going to get into that for sure, and that'll probably start after the trade deadline is done. So that's what we'll kind of turn our Wednesday show into once most people's trade deadlines, which will be kind of anywhere from like this week over the next like 1 to 3 weeks. I like the people that kind of go all the way up to week 13. Some people cut it off at like 11 or 12. But once we're done with the kind of the trade deadline, we'll really start kind of gearing the show towards the playoff schedules, rest of the season, getting your handcuffs together, just kind of overall playoff strategy. So we'll definitely tap into that for sure. IDK. So appreciate that. Good stuff. We do have Thursday night game this week as well too. Bengals at Ravens should be a good one. So hopefully that's a banger. Last time these guys got together, it was a bonanza. So we're hoping for some fireworks as well too.
Yeah.
Let's start the week off right, man. Some people are going to be real sad with their matchups. Other people are going to be real happy. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. And then, weather's starting to set in now, man. I'm sitting here for the first time with no like AC on or no fan on me in here in the desert. It's only like 60 degrees out here for me right now, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, I might have a sweatshirt on here and a beanie here pretty soon. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, let's get into real news topics that I've been trying to get into here for the last 5 minutes, man. It's just how it is, man. I just love talking. Once we get on here, I get all excited. So the big news, Saints head coach Dennis Allen was fired today. Interim head coach Rizzi says that Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback this Sunday as far as he's concerned. So it doesn't look like there's going to be any changes there. We'll kind of get into Chris Olave here in a little bit. But another news, Panthers head coach Dave Canales says that he's not made a decision on who will start at quarterback against the Giants, although Dayball came out and said that, Daniel Jones will be the starter. They play actually in Germany this week, so we have a Germany game, another early game for us over here on the East Coast. Lovely.
Yeah, right.
Love that. That's where setting your lineup sucks. You got to get up at like 4 a.m. to do that. That's kind of crazy. But anyway,
right.
that's nuts. But yeah, so you just hope everyone heading into that game is like okay, or just don't really have. I mean, it's Panthers Giants, so it's hopefully not too bad.
Not so many teams. Not too many guys.
I'm not really starting that many guys on those two teams. But yeah, so you have that going on there. So we'll see what happens over the next couple days. To see if they'll go back to Andy Dalton. Obviously, he was in that car accident, kind of dealing with that thumb injury. Probably can't even like grip the ball. Maybe I don't know what's going on there. Or if they're just kind of getting an extended look at Bryce Young, but he looked a little better this weekend. And so we'll get into that here. I may or may not have a Panther or two on my waiver wire list, so we'll get into that. As I mentioned at the top of the show, 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey returned to practice today for the first time since going on injury reserve on September 14th with that Achilles injury, tendonitis, or whatever you want to call it. They say if all goes well, he should be able to make his season debut this Sunday against the Bucks, which I got invited to by Jeezy to the game, but I'm not going to be able to make it, unfortunately, with all the stuff I got going on in the personal life. But happy to get CMC back on the field here. Maybe we can make our run here for the playoffs and see what can happen. Then we did have the NFL lifting Jamison Williams suspension. He's been out for the 2 games for those PESs. Still haven't heard any word regarding his
new allegations,
potential gun charges and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of still the alleged, make sure we say that is out there. So just again, keep your eyes and ears open for that information, see what happens. But hopefully the legal process will play itself out, and then we'll see what happens. So but he's, as of right now, set to return here in week 10. As far as other injuries, we talked about it head earlier before, got injuries going on with the Cowboys. You got Dak Prescott. It was weird at first. He left with that hand injury. It looks like his hand was kind of swollen, and they were messing around with it, and then all of a sudden they said he's ruled out with a hamstring injury, and everyone's like, what are we talking about here? Right? Yeah, like they didn't even see anything happen.
They did show replay in the game where he threw this ball, and you could see how he pulls up, and the hammy was like just kind of behind him, and sure you could tell that he like winced or like something like popped or what, what I mean, like that look where he was like that wasn't right, you know what I mean? Okay. And then like then after that it was like he was like they were working like, because in the video they show him more taping his hand up, next he's out because of leg thing. You're like, wait a minute here.
It was all confused.
They did go back and show that, which is kind of crazy.
Okay. Good stuff. See, it's good to have the Cowboys fan here to get that additional insight in there. I'm sure you're all over that. For sure. And shout out IDK, man. I can't wait for him to come back either, my guy. So they said it's actually worse than they initially feared. They said he's expected to miss multiple weeks at this point after getting the MRI today. So not looking good there. Looks like it's going to be the Cooper Rush show again. So we'll see what happens there. On top of that, to add, I guess, insult to injury, you got also CeeDee Lamb dealing with the AC joint sprain. They're saying, he's sore, but at least his isn't considered serious. And they're saying, there's a good chance he'll still play this Sunday. But again, now you're getting targets from Cooper Rush. So it could
Cooper
go
Rush didn't do so bad, man. And CD basically, which they should have just took him out of the game, considering that the game was kind of out of hand and Dak wasn't in it anymore anyways. And the dude was still balling out, trying his hardest, but he kept landing on that same shoulder, like almost injured, like trying to like testing fate, right? Like how many hits can you take to this team before you're like out multiple weeks, like right? They should have just been smart. The announcers were even talking about that. They're like, sometimes you gotta save the player for themselves, right? Yeah, you're tough, you can play, you just got paid, you want to do all that, but sometimes you just got to do the right thing and just, hey, you're gonna lose anyways. You just take, lick your wounds and live to fight another day, not just like not fight another day. You know what I mean? Because that's what that would do.
I mean, it was a close game, though. It was a close game, And what's crazy is had a 52-point over/under, came in just under at 48. So look at those lines makers, man. So good stuff there. Well, not good stuff actually.
No.
So hopefully you guys come back, man. I mean, again, obviously Niners, Cowboys, right? We tiff and all that stuff, but you don't wish injuries upon people, man. You want people to be at full strength, because you want to beat them out full strength, so they can't say anything about it. So there we go. All right, so that wraps up Cowboys news. We did have a couple of big time wide receiver injuries here this week. We had Drake London dealing with what they consider a hip pointer right now. So he had some tests done, and they're saying, it can be kind of painful, frustrating to deal with, but it's usually not a long-term issue. So hopefully he can just get some treatment this week and be back out there on Sunday. Not as good a news.
And he did that for his celebration. Did you know that? Did you see that?
Yeah, he kind of landed. He did that whole head thing, same thing that Amon-Ra St. Brown did.
Yeah.
I guess some college kid did it like over the weekend or something. Around. So that's where it came from. It's like this new thing. Yeah, the coaches are going to put a stop to that right away. Like someone's going to hurt their neck.
Stop celebrating so bad that you like hurt yourself. I
mean, he got hurt before that.
Yeah, but one of the cool ones was the touchdown. It was in Dallas actually, and he bowled the guys down. Like you could do some cool stuff like that without having to get yourself injured. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Anyways. It was just
he didn't get injured on the celebration though. I mean, we've seen people get hurt on celebrations.
No, I heard that's where the hip pointer started at.
I thought it was on the catch. It was on the catch. They showed the replay of the catch, and that's where he landed on his hip.
Well, that's what they want to say, man.
Yeah. So anyway, so he's out. Or it looks like he may be back. The guy who looks like he's out literally got knocked out. Saints wide receiver Chris Olave. He's obviously in the concussion protocol. Was immediately taken to the Atrium Health Carolinas Medical Center and released later, and was able to go home with the team. So that was good news. He had all movement in his extremities, and so that was good. We got that information throughout the day, so that was good to hear. So I'm sure he's going to be out probably this week, and we'll see what happens, moving forward. Obviously, with Dennis Allen being fired, we'll see what that offense looks like when he comes back. We did have Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman kind of leave the game, went back to the locker room kind of late in that game, dealing with the wrist and hand injury. So just kind of something to monitor throughout the week. They're saying they're hopeful he'll be able to go this week, but just something to keep your eye on. We did have the Eagles wide receiver, AJ Brown. He left the game, did not return, dealing with a knee injury. After they did some tests today, they said that it looks like he avoided any type of long-term, serious injury. But we'll kind of know more throughout the week whether he'll be available this week or not. Maybe something similar to like DK Metcalf. It was only a grade 1, which was 1 to 3 weeks, and we've seen DK Metcalf now out for 2 weeks. So just something to keep your eye on. Until then, fire up your Devontae Smith shares. So Devontae Smith's the baller, man, when AJ Brown's not in there. So no AJ Brown, no Goddard. That's going to be the Barkley and Smith and Hurts show over there. For sure. You did have Panthers. Barkley's RB1, man. He's RB1. Wow. Dave Canales says the Giants have to feel so silly.
He turtled the guy backwards. It's the first
dude. How do we not even talk about that? That was like the crazy, just talk about instincts. Like who jumps over someone backwards?
Like seen him coming, and then
he was just like, boom, he hit that
he didn't take that bad a hit afterwards.
And he kind of got hit in the back like that, and it did. He missed a couple plays after that. But he was able to come back in and finish strong for sure. But yeah, that was one of the nastiest jukes, just series of moves, for a guy who's considered old, or, that was pretty athletic stuff right there. So, and just instincts, that's just, you don't want to get hit, and you're just like, how do you even think of that? Like, just boom, I'm just gonna jump backwards over this guy like a parkour move or something. That was crazy. So anyway, moving on here, Dave Canales says he's optimistic that Jonathan Brooks is going to be ready this week. He called it a critical decision that will have to be made Wednesday, because again, that 21-day practice window is closing. So they will either have to activate him to the 53-man roster, or he's done for the season. So obviously, Chuba Hubbard's been playing very well. Those of us who have Chuba Hubbard are like, just let them sit. They're not going anywhere. Just bring them on next year. But then the other ones, my other teams that have Brooks been stashing him in IR, like, let's see what this guy has, But one of those leagues, I think, is our keeper league. Maybe it's not. It might be the opposite way. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what Brooks has. I definitely want to see, because he was the highest touted running back, in this draft class. So
I think he was not going to play, man.
What's the
point? What's the point? You know what I mean? Like,
It
as I mentioned last week, that they have up until this week to make it. That's why it's a critical decision time. Why would you put him in on the losing season, man? Why are you going to, hurt your guy?
You got to see what he has. Yeah, I mean, you see what he has. Get him used to the offense.
You already got him anyways. He's not going anywhere.
You got to just get him some touches, man. Get him in there. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it could go either way. But we'll definitely see what happens for sure. And then we have just a couple more things here. Luckily, it wasn't like too bad of a week, injury week. Like we didn't lose any offensive players like for the entire season. Maybe a couple guys that might miss a couple weeks. Right? But yeah, I guess. But he didn't get hurt this Sunday. Like he was hurt last Sunday.
Yeah,
it was just a carryover, maybe in practice. I don't know exactly when it happened because it was more of a shock. But Bengals running back Zach Moss, they're saying now he's out indefinitely with a neck issue. This screams. What's that guy's name? Chris Carson for the Seattle Seahawks. Remember him? He was dealing with the neck issue like that. And then just kind of was out for a while. So who knows? I mean, obviously wish him the best. But as far as Chase Brown goes, let's go, baby. Been telling you guys about him all off season. Just give him that chance. My bench
this whole season.
Oh yeah, so fired him up this week in a ton of places. So definitely felt good there. And I know my best ball teams are feeling very good now that I took Chase Brown over Moss here. So we'll see how that turns out. Absolutely. And then we'll end on a little bit of bad news here. Someone who was looking pretty promising here also on the Bengals. You had the rookie tight end Eric All Jr. Looks like he tore his ACL and he will be out for the season. So might be the Mike Gesicki show. There's a ton of them.
Like, how many people have
this is just the offensive side. I mean, there's so many more on the defensive side. It's not even funny. So yeah, it's just tough. And yes, Smitty, Chase Brown, baby, let's go. So there we go. So yeah, so make sure you guys are dropping your questions there in the chat for us. Questions, comments. We'll get to them as we go. My guy Frank here is getting them going. But why don't you tell the folks here about our guys over at underdogfantasy.com.
Oh, shoot, man. You got me on the promo here. All right. So, Underdog is the best place to play some fantasy sports, man. You got to check them out. We do our best ball leagues in the off season where we draft their team. There's no season-long term commitment, no waivers, no trades, and no weekly lineup. Set it. You draft them, you set it and forget it, basically. And we enjoy them. We do live draft streams here all off season as we get ready and get ramped up for the regular season. And you could draft hundreds of teams, and you don't have to, again, manage anything. So it's great. And right now we're doing the pick'em contest where you simply pick a higher, lower on the player stats, like rushing, receiving, yards, touchdowns, things like that. And you get a sign-up bonus right now as well. If you go use our promo code GetRight, and you receive up to 50% deposit match, up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And right now they have a special pick'em in Lamar Jackson here. So if you get over under of just minus 1 point there, a yard, that guy, is basically a free pick here. So Lamar Jackson is this week's pick. So download the app, go to the app store, make the first deposit, get into the contest, use your promo code GetRight, help support the channel here. And, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I like doing the pick'ems right now during the week, during the season. And, again, the off season, we just kind of get prepared with all these best ball leagues, and hopefully you get a good league in there and make some money. Anthony's made money, and anybody. I think you're doing good in one of them right now, right?
Yeah, I'm actually doing all right, and actually a couple of them, man. So a couple first place going down, 64 total teams. I think I'm advancing or top 3 in at least probably 20, maybe close to 30, if you want to extend that to maybe 4th place. So yeah, and I did finish 42nd in the Chihuahua 3 last year out of 70,000. So that was pretty exciting and fun. So yeah, make sure you guys go check out our boys over at Underdog Fantasy and use that promo code GetRight. All right, so we will move on here and let's get into what you guys came here for, which are our top waiver wire ads. We like to here for week 10. We like to do them here based on position. So we'll typically go position by position. And we'll start with the quarterback position. So Frank, who do you have as one of your top QB waiver wire ads here for week 10? And keeping in mind, you have, those teams, those 4 teams on bye: Cleveland, so Jameis Winston; Green Bay, Jordan Love; Las Vegas, probably not gonna have to replace him. And then Geno, had a good game this week. So maybe you might be looking to, replace 2 or 3 of these guys, especially in, Superflex. You're definitely going to need replacing guys. So who are some guys you might have available out there?
Oh yeah, I was just looking at Bo Nix. I mean, went 19 to 33 for 223 yards, 1 interception against the Broncos, which is a very good defense. Nix also rushed for 36 yards and on 6 carries, and even caught a 2-yard touchdown.
Philly.
So that was pretty cool. You know what I mean? So that dude's balling out against tough defenses. So you got to take a look at him. I like Bo Nix going forward. I think he's gonna kind of put some numbers up as a rookie, and especially as these bye weeks are coming up, it's worth the pick up for the week.
There you go.
Do 3 or just 1?
We'll kind of alternate. I'll go next. I only actually have kind of 2. I didn't really put too much into quarterbacks here this week, but a couple of guys that I saw that were under our 65% threshold that I thought in 1 QB leagues could be looked at here. And that's going to be Matt Stafford. He's at 58% here. With the emergence here of Demarcus Robinson, obviously, Puka Nacua wants to throw punches at people, get himself tossed out.
Yeah,
but then you have, Cooper Kupp. He looked a lot better this week compared to last week. So you can see, what this offense, is capable of. They're going to be in some shootouts. They have a decent schedule, coming up as well too. So it's just, he's just someone I feel like, now that he's just, scoring the touchdowns, because that's kind of what was lacking. He's always kind of had the yardage. We know he has the, mindset and the ability to, just needed to get his guys healthy. And now just with these, 2 guys back, after coming off only a 3-point game and, against Las Vegas a couple weeks ago, last week put up 32 points against Minnesota, and then at Seattle this week put up 21 points. Did have 44 attempts, 25 completions for almost 300 yards, 298. Did get the 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Not going to do anything on the ground for you, so you hope that 1 pick actually turns into a 3rd touchdown. But with Puka back, with Demarcus Robinson playing well, and then of course Cooper Kupp, he's always a threat. They get Miami, they get New England, Philly, New Orleans, Buffalo, San Francisco, the Jets, and then Arizona. So those should be good matchups for him all around. So Matt Stafford, 57% owned. Go check him out.
Nice. So another guy that I got going on here is Justin Herbert. Shoot, you should have been looking at him. 8 for 27, 282 yards and 2 touchdowns. Only 44% on Yahoo, 43% on ESPN. Let's see. I do have his schedule pulled up here. We got him Tennessee, Cincinnati, a tough one with Baltimore, then Atlanta, and then another tough one with KC. So about 3 good games in the next 5 sets coming up. So not a bad opportunity for him, especially now against Tennessee and Cincinnati in the next 2 games coming up. So I've been slowly watching what he's been doing this season. He's kind of getting better. The team's coming together here over there for them. They do run the ball a lot more.
Back. QJ's coming back. They've actually not run the ball as much lately. I mean, they've actually been kind of airing it out lately. over since week 6 against Denver, he's been throwing for over 230 yards. The last 2 games has had the 2 touchdowns to go with it, which has put him, over that 20-point mark. And then even the last game against New Orleans, he had those 4 carries for 49 yards, which isn't too much like him, but he does have that capability in him. So yeah, that's a good call, Frank. I mean, he's thrown for almost 300 yards, 237, 349, 279, 282. I didn't mean to hijack your guy here, but great
all right.
Great guy to put attention to. So well done there.
Yeah, and then he's already been through his bye week also, so you don't have to worry about that for these next bye-natal weeks. He had his week 5 bye, so hey, you're safe going forward too.
For sure. I like that. Well done. So another guy I have here as far as the quarterback position is going to be Geno Smith, the guy that was going toe-to-toe with Matt Stafford in that game last just Sunday. He put up 28 points here against the Rams. They already, I think, lead the league in passing yards and attempts anyway. 21 completions on 34 attempts, 363 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns, but did have the 3 picks. He's ran for had over 4 attempts in the last 3 games, and actually all but 2 games has basically had a minimum of 4 attempts each game. Doesn't get a ton of yardage, but he does have a 30-yard game, a 38, a 72, and then the last 3 games have just been 15, 16, and 16 rushing yards. But again, a little bit of an element from an older quarterback at 34 years of age. That's still able and willing to get out and run with the ball too, and that definitely helps. With a little bit of the stats there. It was definitely a back and forth shootout here with this Rams. Seattle game, Seahawks game. But yeah, so you like to see that 363, and that was definitely a crazy overtime game. That was a fun one to watch. I just wish they both lost somehow, being NFC West teams, but at least one of them lost. Good stuff. So Geno Smith, 57% owned here on Sleeper, or 56% owned here on Sleeper. So yeah, go check him out. Week 10 buy though, so he may not help you this next week, but to help you through those buy NATOs. Week 12 he has Arizona. Week 14 he also has at Arizona in a dome, so that should be really nice. Playoff schedule is home against Green Bay, home against Minnesota, and then at Chicago, which might be a tough one, but weeks 15 and 16 should be good games for you.
And I was just surprised, and I just want to mention, I think we mentioned him last week, I don't know if we had, but Tua's back, and he's only looking at Sleeper right now, 55% ownership. ESPN has a 43. Yahoo does have him at 60, which is over the threshold, but 2 of the 3 ones that we normally look at, he is below target there on ownership percentage. He did go 25 of 28 for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns, and we know what he's capable of. He's got the Rams next on, I think, a Monday night or Thursday night. Is it Monday night? Yeah, because it's Monday night coming up, right? Because we were talking. I remember seeing the preview for, so that could be a good shootout there, and at the Rams. So again, depending on your league and your ownership, this guy might still be available. They're past this bye week, and pretty decent schedule with the Rams, Vegas, New England, and then Green Bay. Finally, a tough defense with the Jets as well. So, and we all know what Tua can do, and he can put up some decent numbers for you.
Yeah, and again, a lot of these guys were mentioned too have 2 nice matchups in the playoffs. Maybe their week 17 isn't as great, but you do get Tua at Houston, which is in a dome, and we all know Miami can't play in the elements. And then they get San Francisco at home, but at least it's at home. Worst case, maybe it's raining, but it usually doesn't snow down there in Miami. No, it's going to be in Miami, so they should be good there.
Oh, they're
yeah.
But this is a versus San
Francisco. No, they're at home against San Francisco week 16.
Yeah.
And then they get at Cleveland week 17, which could be a snowstorm. So just maybe make sure you have alternate plans on week 17, or maybe someone else to go to, depending on how it's looking there. So a good call on Tua. Obviously, he has the weapons for it with HN and Hill and Waddle. Finally, Waddle got in the end zone this week, which was nice to finally see. But it is still a little discouraging with those guys. But I mean, we saw the offense last year and what it's capable of. Nothing's really changed except for they just got to get kind of their timing. And, that's what Tua is all about. It's all about the timing. It's all about, the play calls, McDaniels, how he designs them. So, if you have a chance to, get him now, he could pay off for you here the next couple of weeks once he gets his bearings under him. So good stuff. You got any other quarterbacks, or I'm out of quarterbacks right now. I probably could have done more, but I'm good. All right, so let's move on here. And again, we see you guys' questions in the chat. We will be getting to them, so just hang tight with us. We'll just get through our waiver ads here, and then we will hit that Q&A segment. If you do want us to stop in between and get to your question right away, you can always throw us a super chat, or if you just want to do it anyway because you like my beard or you like this guy's hair, whatever it is, we'll appreciate that as well too. I see you got your fresh cut over there, Frank. So there we go. All right, man. So let's talk waiver ads at the running back position here. Who is or which running back do you have towards the top of your list? You don't have to say it's number 1, but
I don't even got a guy on the top of the list. This is like the barrenest land of running back guys.
We've been through them all. I mean, they all got hurt already.
Everybody's out there. All you got really is like handcuff guys that we've been mentioning before, like Ray Davis,
Handcuffs and stashes, right?
Yeah, Braylon Allen, Trey Benson. I don't know. There's just these guys that you stash like Isaac Garendo, even though, McCaffrey may be back this week, but how much he's gonna play. Are they gonna take him, ease him in, or are they gonna just give him a full blow because Jordan Mason did exit the game, right? With an injury.
Yeah, he's still dealing with the shoulder. We don't know what he's gonna be like. We'll get that update on Wednesday, I'm sure.
So you may want to pick up Isaac Garendo, I guess. That's only 8.3% owned. There's really not much out there. I mean, like, honestly, as far as running backs is concerned, I want to be like, oh, go get this guy. There's not one guy that I'm going to be like, oh, this is the pickup of the week right now. It's more like maintenance right now. Like, if you need to get a guy, get whoever you can. But you should have had a bench guy or somebody at this point because everybody's just like decimated out here.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to stash these guys as well too. But what I like to do, are these are the kind of guys that you kind of wait for because people aren't necessarily picking him up right away because maybe it's not someone you even really have to spend fab on or actually do a waiver. But these type of guys are the guys that I want to put on my roster, like when I have guys like Metcalf that are finally rolled out at the end of the week, even though we know they've been going to be out all week, they finally go out and you can throw them in your IR. Then you just put someone like this, a handcuff, kind of just play Russian roulette, so to speak, and just grab someone's handcuff in case, you want to try to beat the waiver wire. So if someone goes down, like this last week, I grabbed Trey Benson in a couple places because I had DK Metcalf out. There's really nowhere else out there. I had, plenty of people to, fill in that I felt comfortable with, besides picking someone up off the waiver wire. But I went ahead and just grabbed them just in case, Connor got hurt. Benson was out there. He's available, kind of looked like the best thing, out there. So I just kind of grabbed him. Luckily he didn't, Connor's good. He didn't get hurt. Probably because I'm not playing him anywhere. I'm playing against them in a couple places. But it's, you just kind of do those kind of things. So yeah, so a lot of those guys you mentioned, there is one name out there though, that I think you might want to kind of go grab. It's Audric Estime. He's only 5% owned here on Sleeper. Peyton came out this week or today and said that they're looking to get him more involved, but I don't really trust that guy as far as I could throw him. So, who knows what he's saying. But obviously you guys know I haven't been the biggest Javonte Williams fan, post injury. And then just in this offense in general, I thought they'd be, behind a lot. I didn't think their defense would be as good. So I was real big on McLaughlin. So assuming he'd be that kind of like, hurry up offense, 2-minute drill, playing catch up at the end of the game type guy, especially in PPR leagues and a lot of best ball that I grabbed him in. But looks like now with Estime, he had that short stint on IR to begin the year. Now he's kind of been worked back in these last couple weeks, and looks like he might actually eat into and have a timeshare, or maybe Peyton just gives him an opportunity to run with the lead role and see what happens. So if anything, I think this affects Javonte more than anything. So those Javonte owners out there, maybe you want to go grab Estime to kind of handcuff him and kind of see what happens. But otherwise, he just might be one of those guys where you can maybe find an RB1, at least for his team. I mean, as an RB1, not like RB1 in fantasy, but, at least the RB1 for that team, here in the second half of the season off the waiver wire. And then another guy that I kind of noticed that got phased out of the offense was Ty Chandler. I don't think he recorded a snap or, got any type of carry or play. Cam Akers was actually the one that was in there. He looked fairly good.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to go out there and trust the Cam Akers again. His Achilles keep failing him out there, but maybe now that they both been repaired, he is good to go. Obviously, he's shown enough for them to bring him back on that offense. And looks like he's usurped Ty Chandler, which we all saw, and he looked good when Akers got hurt last year, and thought he would be in that role. They're still going to play second fiddle, of course, to Aaron Jones. But Aaron Jones, I think, had like a 70% route participation this week, and being involved in the passing game and just kind of all over. So if anything were to happen to him, you want a piece of that offense, right? You want the running back in that offense, and it looks like Cam Akers might be that guy. As much as disgust that may be to a lot of us. I mean, I'd much rather it be Ty Chandler, but there might be a couple spots where I'm either going to drop Chandler for another one of these handcuffs that we're talking about, or stashes, or I might just swap Chandler out for Akers and just kind of see see how things roll. So you never know. Maybe he was sick. Maybe, you never know, right? So you can't get too crazy just off one game, but definitely something to kind of look into if maybe things change after next week, and it's more Cam Akers. Then we'll see what happens. So
yeah, this is just stash dudes. I'm telling you though. You know what I mean?
sure.
How you gonna start them even? Can't
Absolutely.
even flex these guys.
Yeah, they're not playable this week. You're just, they're more stashes. Jalen Warren, you mentioned Trey Benson, even Amari DiMarcado had a good game this week. He looked explosive. So, who knows really what's going to happen in that Arizona backfield. You mentioned Isaac Guerrero, who I had on my list here too.
Yeah.
Another name I have is Khalil Herbert. With the actual NFL trade deadline coming up, he could be a potential candidate. He's been a healthy scratch these last couple weeks. Maybe that's been because they're getting ready to trade him. So just something to kind of keep your eyes and ears out as well too. Looks like Dowdle's pretty much kind of locked up after this week, kind of locked up that Dallas, backfield. So I don't think Herbert maybe will go to Dallas, but there could be some other places, or maybe someone else gets hurt over these next couple weeks, and Herbert could be potentially on the move. So if you have an open roster spot, again, probably not spending any fab or anything on him, but if you could put a $0 bid, or you have an open spot because of an injury, maybe just stash him and see what happens. He's an easy drop if nothing pans out. So so that's pretty much what we got in the running back position. I think we spent a good amount of time on that there. So let's we got anything else good on the comments here? Oh, we got Tycoon in the house. What's up, Tycoon? How's it going, man? I know you're hanging out. If you want to fire up the computer and stuff, man, you want to come on with us, you're more than welcome to hang out some of these Q&As.
Tycoon does have a good point though. He says, please do hit the like and subscribe buttons. It is good fantasy karma. You know what I mean? Actually, we got more
for sure.
Now, so, yeah.
Well said, Tycoon. Well said, man. Well said. All right, so let's get. It's all good. I should have just let you do it. I actually meant to hit something totally different. I was trying to get to the other banner. So there we go. All right, so let's talk wide receivers. Of course, my wide receiver list is a million pages long because wide receiver is where I'm at, and obviously, as you kind of heard, I had a lot of receivers go down. So these are guys that I'm kind of looking at that you might have to replace, or might be making a stand in their in their respective offenses. But I'll let you start it off. Who do you have at the wide receiver position?
And I gotta say, on that note, we were like touting wide receiver, this and that. And I think, I was looking at Bobby's team that we were talking about at the beginning of the draft, and him with like 3 running backs. I'm telling you, I think I might do this again next year, man. Although there's just too many wide receivers, there's too much to be had. Like, it's the scarcity in the running back room, although, due to injuries or whatever. But I mean, there's just nothing there. I mean, we really went over just handcuff guys just a second ago. You know what I mean? Anyway, so we got Xavier Leggett. Here's my guy, first guy here I got on there. Caught 4 of 6 passes, 33 yards, and a touchdown. The Panthers 23-22 win over the Saints. So he's been having 3 decent good weeks here. So somebody I want to be looking at and be picking up as well. That's really good.
Yeah. I actually had him as I don't want to say number 1, quote unquote, on my list, but he was listed first on my list. He was someone I definitely wanted to mention here tonight. I didn't, I actually told my son, who's in that 20-team league, told Dominic to pick him up this weekend. Saw that somehow he was on the waiver wire. He did have Metcalf out, and then had Brian Robinson go out, so he was able to. Actually, someone dropped Jacoby Myers as well too, and it was so hard for me to tell him to pick him up, but I said get him, and that turned out pretty well for him as well too. So he's doing good, man. I think he's like 3rd place in the 20-team leagues. He's doing good.
Oh wow!
Shout out to Dom. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
yeah, he's widely available. 27% Yahoo, 33% ESPN, something like that for sleepers. So yeah, he's out there.
Yeah, 48% on sleeper, so maybe a little more here on sleeper, but yeah, I told Classic Mike, I told Classic Mike, I was like, because he asked, should I start this guy or this guy? One of them was Leggett. I was like, I still don't trust Bryce. I don't trust that offense quite yet. But Bryce looked pretty decent, and then of course this was the first game without Deontay Johnson, so again, looks like they were trying to concentrate that around him. It was interesting to see Mingo, get a little more play there. we'll see what happens instead of
Jonathan Mingo showed some sparks last year, and I'm not sure why he didn't get no more opportunities this year yet. So.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a really weird ran franchise over there. But either way, points are going to have to be had. They're going to be playing from behind most of the time. And I mean, sure enough, they actually came out with the win here this week after trading Deontay Johnson. So maybe Johnson was the issue over there, causing problems. So yeah.
So who do you got? Who do you got?
So I'm gonna go with the guy on the thumbnail, man. I regretted saying it. This guy I don't recommend at all personally, but I gotta say it because we analyze things and it is what it is. Sometimes the season tells the story. We're just the puppets saying the stuff that's happening that you gotta say because the data's shown us, man. And it's Quentin Johnston, man. I never thought I'd even say it. I mean, you know how big I was on him last year, but after he kind of let me down last year, we couldn't go that way. And it wasn't just me. A lot of people in the industry were feeling the same way on Quentin Johnston. But I mean, you can't argue with what's going on. The guy has 4 touchdowns total, and he's only played 6 total games so far this year. He did miss the last 2 games, dealing, I believe, with that knee. I think it was a knee or a hamstring or something like that he was dealing with. I want to say it was a knee. But he did come back and kind of stepped right back in, 4 for 5. 4 catches on 5 targets for 118 yards and did score the touchdown. Did play really only 68% of the snaps, so he's still working his way back. He's played up to 80% of the snaps before. So has Tennessee coming up, which might be a little tough there, but then gets Cincinnati, Baltimore, which could be a shootout, and they're susceptible to the pass. Then he gets at Carolina, might be a little tough against Kansas City in week 14, but playoff schedule. It's Tampa Bay in week 15, which should be decent, but then you just got to worry about week 16 and 17. If he is quote unquote the one, he will see Asante Samuel, Pat Surtain Jr. Get my cornerbacks mixed up here. But yeah, so he might get the Pat Surtain treatment week 16, and then might get the it's not Chris Rodriguez, it's Christian Gonzalez is the shutdown corner in New England. So he might pull that coverage there. So potentially 2 shadowers week 16 and 17. But at least getting you to the playoffs, there's a chance he can help you get there. So only 28% owned here on Sleeper. And you may have the other. Was he on your? I assume Quentin Johnston was on your list too.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston was on my list. Yes.
Okay. What's the ownership percentage on the other sites?
Oh, I didn't even write it down, honestly.
Okay.
Right now. Let me look every second.
All right.
It is one of the things that I actually missed.
Hey, they are Tycoon. It's a tough show. It's a tough show right now.
Yeah.
We're scrounging.
It's
week 10, man. We're scrounging.
60% Yahoo, 21% on ESPN for ownership on Quentin Johnston.
Oh, there you go. Good stuff. All right. So who else you got at the wide receiver position?
I just wanted to mention Sterling Shepard since we were talking about this last game. I don't even have his numbers for tonight, but I mean,
they weren't that great. He just looked.
They weren't that great. He just looked good on that last
drive.
But I mean, as I mentioned, who else they got to throw to, right? You know what I mean? Like somebody's got to catch the ball over there.
Yeah.
And guys are injured, they're out. If you got, I mean, it's just slim pickings. I don't know. You mentioned quite a few guys. I just don't think that there's that many available that are worth, like you're not excited anywhere. Like, you have to have a major injury, somebody go down to vacate some touches for somebody right now. And we don't want all that to happen. We actually want to stop the injuries, please. Like keep these guys on the field for a while.
we just want to hold who we have. But yeah, and it's not even like, he's just only producing now, quote unquote, because these 2 guys are out. I mean, ever since he, kind of came in, started, has been playing 65 or more percent of the snaps, 60+%, except for the, game he went out early with the hamstring. But, he's put up, 8 points, 7 points, 8 points, had the 2 4-point games at Baltimore and Atlanta. And then came back here in a weather game against Kansas City, one of the toughest defenses, and put up his first double-digit point game. Like we said, 4 for 5, 48 yards. Yeah, it was a little bit of a defense there towards the end. Just kind of letting him catch stuff underneath. Didn't want to give up the big play, but they ended up giving up the touchdown anyway. And who knows, that could have been him instead of Miller, who got his first career touchdown. If that touchdown went to Sterling Shepard, he might be the number 1 waiver wire ad, being attached to Baker Mayfield. And the best thing about Sterling Shepard is their remaining schedule after, they get San Francisco, which you could say might be tough, but we are susceptible through the air. And it should be a good game. But then they have that week 11 bye. And then, of course, Mike Evans may come back, which could free him up a little more. They get at Giants, at Carolina, home against Las Vegas, at Chargers, at Dallas, and then home against Carolina. So that's playoff schedule, dome.
That's a sweet one.
In Tampa Bay, Florida, which is no snow, no weather, like maybe rain, but you saw them kind of producing rain. So again, this is why we were telling you guys for the last 2 weeks, ever since Evans got hurt, go get Mike Evans and take your chances on him if you can. So we'll get into that more on Wednesday. But yeah, if you need a spot start, like Tycoon saying, you might have to have a spot where you got to start him next week, of course, with the bye weeks going on. So let's get it going. So Sterling Shepard, 23% owned on Sleeper, and I think you mentioned the other sites.
6%
as well.
6% Yahoo, 7% ESPN.
Perfect. One name I want to mention, he's over our 65% threshold. But because they're on a bye week this week, he may be dropped. So if he gets dropped, you might want to go pick him up. And that's Cedric Tillman, 68% owned right now on Sleeper. We've been talking about he's going to have, a bad matchups. We thought this matchup, against the Chargers, had been very good against quarterbacks and wide receivers, and he just kind of basically picked up where he left off. Only 6 catches, but did get 11 targets, which is what you like to see. So 12, 9, and 11. Those are wide receiver 1 type target shares. Gets 6 catches for 75 yards, so he is downfield. It's not just like screens and stuff, behind the line of scrimmage. They're pushing downfield, 12.5 yard average, and then has scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. So that 2 touchdown game wasn't a fluke. He's being looked for by Winston, and then we just had our classic Winston game. 3 picks. We knew it was coming against the Chargers. Kind of called that last week, but when he's throwing picks, that means they're just going to keep throwing more. More attempts means more targets, which means more points, which means points in your lineup. So Cedric Tillman, again, the only issue, again, bye week this week, comes back. It's New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Denver, Pittsburgh, Kansas City. That's probably one of the roughest 4-week stretches that you can have. But if you get through that, he does get Cincinnati and Miami in week 16 and 17. So yeah, just someone you may want to have on your bench there. Got Santos saying hello. How's it going, Santos? Appreciate it. You got any questions or anything, drop them in the chat. We're only a few minutes away here from getting to our Q&A. So if you guys have anything, let us know. All right. So any other wide receivers you want to mention here?
Yeah,
I know I kind of cheated again, like I always do every week. I always find a way around. I just find a way. It's my show. Why not?
This guy.
We can say whatever we want, Frank. It's our show. I know you know the boss. You know the boss. You
right.
know the boss. So it's all good. I know you. You know me. We can say whatever we want. We just say 65%, but if we want to extend that to 68, we're good. We're good. All right. So you said anyone else you got, or else you want to just kind of run through the rest of my list here quickly? All right. So just some other names. I won't go too much into them. But other guys that I'm kind of looking at, Juwan Jennings, of course, coming off this bye week, he's only 60% owned right now. We don't know, if his hip's going to be good coming back. Obviously, Ayuk's out for the year, and here I go going all crazy. I was supposed to just do it quick, but just someone to keep your eye on. Also, Ricky Pearsall, 48% owned. Jerry Jeudy also was still looking decent, 65% owned. He scored double digits. You have Jalen Tolbert, maybe with this CeeDee Lamb injury. He may be the only one to throw the 2 there besides, Ferguson. So he's only 36% owned. Someone to take a look at. I believe he scored the touchdown this week as well too, Frank.
He spots one in there every once in a while.
So yeah, Demarcus Robinson, who I mentioned earlier, he's only 21% owned, and with Puka and Kupp on the field commanding all the attention, he might just kind of be the guy who gets that single coverage. And obviously, Stafford's comfortable with him after these 2 guys, leaving or missing so much time. So he's one of those sneaky little plays that you can, I think, get in there, or that I wouldn't mind, having a spot start with. Nick Westbrook-Akine just seems to always score a touchdown. I kind of called it last week, someone I'll never start, but he'll score touchdowns all up until the time I try to start him, and then he won't score a touchdown and get you like 2 catches for 20 yards. But so I'm staying away from that, but he's only 2% owned. If you want to kind of go that route, again, with all these teams on bye week, he could be someone you could be looking at. And then Ray McLeod, if this Drake London injury does linger a little bit, he's only 21% owned on Sleeper. He, I think, had a touchdown this week as well too. So he could be someone that
he's literally the only other guy I had on there. He had 3 targets for 28 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. Okay.
One rush for 7 yards. I did have his stats and everything ready for him, but Again, just
you should mention it. You got it, Frank. Tell the people, man. You're holding all these gems to yourself.
Nah, he's not a gem, man. He's just somebody to look at if London's out. Darnell Mooney would be definitely the guy that own. And Ray McLeod would be like a distant second there on that, But with the shot, he got a touchdown. So hey, if you got to do those spot waiver wire starts because everybody else is injured or taken, just somebody that to look at, I guess, at some point.
There we go. Michael, we see you here, man. He says he's enjoying the show. Appreciate it, man. Hopefully you guys are hitting that like and subscribe button for us, man. We are trying to get to our quest of 2,000, our goal. So we'll keep chugging along here. So hopefully you guys are hitting that like and subscribe button for us, and we will be getting to your question here in a second. So let's get to tight ends and then get to some of these questions, man. So, so Frank, let's do it.
I want to bring up my boy. Every year he comes through. He just came.
Oh,
back
actually put him on my list too. I should have known you were gonna have him.
You should know. I wish I was on you guys' start of the week shows, because I would have mentioned to people. I would have said, "Hey, Taysom's back. He's out of injury." So Taysom Hill rushed for 19 yards and 1 touchdown on 5 carries, caught 4 or 5 targets for 41 yards. Not very widely owned, only 37% Yahoo, 27% on ESPN. What's sleeper?
31.
So, widely available. And, hopefully things shake up over there in the Saints. Maybe give this guy some opportunities. They're not changing the QB and Derek Carr, but they've always kind of worked out gadget plays or just plays for him in general. And he's a baller. I mean, the guy could, run, catch, pass, whatever he's got to do, he's going to do what you got to do. Yeah, he's a Swiss Army knife, and when he's healthy, he gets in there. He's not always the best start. He's not a consistent start, but usually when he comes back off an injury or something like that, or he has some extended time off, he does have a really good game, and it's usually when I wanted to start him right off the bat. Well,
if he did that last week when he played only 40% of the snaps, he only scored 7.2 points. But this week against Carolina, but they lost again. Carolina actually won, but he played 44% of the snaps, so a little more. But he scored 18. This is the tight end premium league, so maybe not as much. What is that? Maybe like 16 or something like that. But either way, still scored well. And like you said, did get that touchdown. 4 catches for 41 yards plus the carries on top of it. And the other thing is Jamal Williams is banged up. Keandre Miller's back on IR. So literally he's a Kamara injury away from being the RB1 on this team on top of everything else. So definitely someone you want to kind of keep your eye on there, Mr. Taysom Hill. Good call. I was going to try to sneak that one in on you, but I can't sneak Taysom Hill by you.
He's my guy, man. He's always been my guy. I don't know why. Sure. He's just a baller. That's why.
I was gonna say you just like ballers.
He's a guy that's got a nose for the end zone, man. I like a guy that's like that. For sure. Should I give him Mike?
Go ahead. That's who I had next, man. We're on this. I mean, there's only a couple guys we could. It's tight end, so it's not any secret. Like
him out of nowhere here, holding 5 of his 6 targets for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Did he hit the gritty? I don't know if he hit the gritty.
No, I don't know. No, I don't know if I'd seen it.
Jamar Chase wasn't helping him. Hey, how come on a sidebar? How come Joe Burrow goes crazy, throws 5 touchdowns? Jamar Chase has like 7 points in a PPR league. What's going on there?
Oh, dude, don't tell me nothing about that. Oh, I have him. I have Jamar Chase, and I'm like, really? What's like, really? Like, what's going on here?
I mean, I have Jamar Chase like everywhere, except for maybe there's one place that you have him, but like. You're everywhere, and I'm like, all I keep seeing is Joe Burrow touchdown. I get that notification, and then nothing with Jamar Chase. Yeah, I'm like, they must have just took him out. He must have just been seeing triple coverage at that point. So let's get T. Higgins back. So Chase can be good.
I had Chase and I think DK or somebody just like, I'm like, how do I get no points from these guys? You know what I mean? Like, how's this happening? Like, I don't get it. I got 2 top wide receivers and they're just not doing nothing. Anyways,
Mike Gesicki, 20% rostered on Sleeper, so he's out there if you need a spot start at tight end.
13% Yahoo, 11%
not a bad one to throw out there.
So
especially with no Eric All anymore, unfortunately, with that ACL because he was splitting time with them. So he's probably the guy there now.
Yeah, exactly. He's not splitting any time anymore.
I mean, Hudson and Sample will probably catch a random touchdown here or there, but
that's what it was. AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown.
Oh,
like 4.3, 3.6. I'm like, really? Like those guys should be giving me 20 points. Like, come on.
Like in their sleep, right? Like what's going on?
Like they should have a standard 15 base. You know what I mean? Like
just pencil in it, pin it in, right? Like
should. I don't know what's going on, but
least,
whatever.
Right?
On paper, I got a good team. It's like on paper, right?
A whole different story when you put him in the lineup, man. So I'll mention the last guy here, man. It's kind of been my guy this year has been Hunter Henry. He has a nice 3-game stretch. I probably shouldn't be in the tight end premium here, but so I won't read the exact points, but we've seen 9 targets, 6 targets, 8 targets in the last 3 games, 8 catches, 5 catches, 7 catches respectfully. Hit the 92 yards against Jacksonville, 45 yards against the Jets, and then 56 yards here against Tennessee, which was a good defense. He's only had the 1 touchdown over the last month. Or just really all season has only scored the 1 touchdown, which he was kind of known for the touchdowns last year, but just overall in PPR and especially your tight end premium leagues, at only 38% owned on Sleeper. He's just someone that I feel, okay, just kind of throwing in spot starting if I need a tight end, if I'm not rocking with one of those underproducing top picks that I picked this year. Throw Hunter Henry in there and you might be okay.
I mean, he's a steady Eddie low, like just consistent points with this guy.
Yeah. And if he scores a touchdown, then you might be close to 20. Like you might be in that 17, 18, 19, 20 range if he scores. Yeah.
Nothing fancy about it. 36% Yahoo, 41% on ESPN. And we literally, this first time I think we've actually had the same 3 tight ends.
Really? That was your third guy too?
Yeah, my third guy too.
Nice.
That was it. There's not much. It was like went from the high of it's what is it? Tight end. What was it last week? They called it the.
Where it was the National Tight Ends Day.
Yeah,
to
like
just untight end day.
this week. Like
no
one
did nothing in tight ends
in the world.
Except for Gesicki. That's because Kittle wasn't there, man. Kittle was on the bye. That's why.
That's what it was. Kittle just killed it.
He got the week off. It was his birthday and National Tight Ends Day. He deserved the week off. So there we go. All right, good stuff, man. So let's get into this Q&A, man. This is what we've been waiting for here. Appreciate you guys for hanging around. And Max, we will absolutely be answering questions now. We're finally in our Q&A segment. If you want to springboard your question to the top of the list, you can always throw us a super chat. Otherwise, we will scroll back up and start getting these handled. So if you have them, drop them in now because we'll probably take maybe about 15 minutes or so of questions. Try to be out of here at least by the 1.5 mark. So because we started so late already today, so I want to be done by like 11:30 p.m. So we gotta go to bed. All right. So let's do it here. So first question is trade Dell for Chase Brown. He has Henry, Pollard, and Dowdle, and his wide receivers are Neighbors, Evans, Dell, and Waddle. Worried about his wide receiver depth till Evans comes back is the only thing stopping you. With Collins coming back, Dell may not have the potential upside that he had Chase Brown right now, especially if you're using Dell kind of more in a flex type range. I would much rather have that, especially with Zach Moss being out indefinitely at this point. So I would probably do this trade right now, especially if it's a PPR type league. And then maybe you can, ideally, honestly, I'd rather trade Waddle for Chase Brown if you can make that happen and maybe hold on to Dell. But I don't mind, moving on from Dell to get Chase Brown and then maybe just picking up, one of these wide receivers off the waiver wire that you can maybe kind of spot start or build out, a little bit of depth there until Evans gets back. So that's kind of, my thoughts on that. What about you, Frank?
Well, I'm trying to figure out why he's worried about wide receiver depth and he's trading away one of his wide receivers to get Chase Brown.
Well, because again, Neighbors isn't doing great, being attached to, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I know that.
And then, and
I'm just saying, why is he not?
Yeah, Waddle hasn't been doing great, so it's not like he has.
Waddle just got his touchdown, right? You were just mentioning. Like, how come he's not going after a wide receiver is what my point, if he's worried about his wide receiver.
Well, maybe someone sent him an offer, put someone on the trade block, or, things happen. He's just asking a question. You got to ask it.
I digress, though, but that's my, it kind of, I'm like trying to make sense of that part of it. But I like Chase Brown. I would trade Tank Dell for Chase Brown. I think it's a very good opportunity for him to be like your second half winner here for
right.
as far as a running
and if
back.
anything, take Brown, and you might be able to actually flip Brown or flip somebody else into a better wide receiver. Like I think trade if you want to get another wide receiver and someone's hurting for running back, and since you have depth, maybe you can now make Brown, get Brown in there, and maybe trade up, sell high on Dowdle, after his big week with no Dak and CD banged up. Maybe you can kind of say, look, hey, this guy's going to get some usage, even though the efficiency of the offense may kind of go down just overall, and total touchdown opportunity may go down with Cooper Rush at the helm. So maybe you can package that up, like Dowdle and Waddle, and go get somebody like that. Yeah. So yeah,
I'd move on Waddle, especially now that he just scored a touchdown. He'll look
sure.
like a little bit more appealing to his back, things like that. So we got the Smitty in here. I'm on a 12 team, 2 QB super flex. Rate my team. Also had any upgrades, trades would you suggest? So he's literally looking to see, hey, take a look at my team. Let me know if there's something I can do to get better here. So his QBs are Purdy and Stafford, Flacco, and May. So he's got against this is super flex. So he's got quite backup guys on here. QB running backs on Mason, Ramondre Stevenson, Chase Brown. They were just talking about Monty. Love that. That's good running back core there. And then wide receivers in London, Evans, Dell. Yeah, exactly. Right. He's a little hurt. London and Evans are down. He's got Dell really to go with here. Yeah. And tight ends of Laporta and Hawkinson. How did Hawkinson do this week? I thought that was his first week back.
I think he had an almost touchdown, but he didn't do too much.
Not too much.
Yeah. But it didn't look like he had any setbacks.
Looking all right though.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't got a touchdown from Jared Goff yet. It was from Amon-Ra St. Brown. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
What we expected out of him. For 27 yards, played 45% of the snaps. So, and then we saw Oliver, I think, catch the touchdown. So, yeah.
So what should we do with this team here? Any suggestions?
You need some wide receivers, man. For sure, I would trade one of those quarterbacks and try to get a wide receiver. You have Purdy now coming off his bye, so you don't got to worry about that. Stafford already has his bye. If you could trade like Flacco, I know he's coming off a bad game, but quarterbacks and superflex are, kind of cash is king, so to speak. You should be able to turn Flacco into a decent starting wide receiver, or maybe, get 2 pieces out of it. But you definitely need to do something because it looks like London and Evans you probably won't have this week. And Chase Brown, Monty, you're good. So even if you had to maybe go to the CMC owner and maybe trade him off Mason, or even, package Ramondre, with someone else and get a piece there, maybe Mondre and Mason and go get a wide receiver. I mean, you can't do that. You got to keep at least one of those guys. But yeah, I mean, if you can package like Mason and Flacco to go get a wide receiver, I'd like that.
And like you said, it's a 2 QB league. There's got to be somebody in there hurting for QBs that's going to say, you know what, Matthew Stafford.
Go to the Josh Downs owner,
yeah,
and trade him Flacco. That might work.
Exactly. Yeah,
for sure. Good stuff. Hold on, real quick. Eric said he's a Chargers fan, so he said it's hard watching what the Chiefs have accomplished. So being in that division there, after not going to a Super Bowl since their very first Super Bowl, like it wasn't like Super Bowl 1 or something like that, and then they never went back for like 50 years. Yeah, that's tough. And that's why I'm so pissed, dude, that the Niners have lost like 3 Super Bowls in the last like 10 years for me, because like and just 2 in the last like 4 or whatever it's been. Like it's so brutal because you're like I could be 90 by the time they even go back to the Super Bowl.
They go back, right? Like before you see another run, right?
And again, I'm not even trying to talk shit, but like, when's the last time you've seen them in the Super Bowl, right? Like you were almost like a kid. Like you were like my son's age the last time. That's what I'm saying.
When I see the Cowboys
like your entire adult life, you haven't been able to be at a bar and watch your team in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's tough, man.
You got to take them away. That's why they say, hey, you got 5. Well, how come your team hasn't caught up? That's serious. It's that hard.
Exactly. It's hard, man. It's hard.
So it says
unless you're Brady, you got like 7 like pretty quickly, but it's whatever.
That's kind of crazy. Eric Serrano says I have Njoku in both my leagues and need to stream a tight end. I'm 10th in the waiver wire order, so I have to temper my expectations. So he's Jay Ferguson, Hunter Henry, Pat Freiermuth, Johnny, and then Cole Kmet, and the 12-team PPR. Who's Johnny?
Maybe it was supposed to be Jonnu.
Oh, it might be Jonnu. Jonnu might be a shot for it too.
And then Kmet. So I would rank I'm just going to rank them for you. So to me, it's Ferguson. I actually have them in the exact order that you have it there.
Yeah, Ferguson.
Maybe switching Johnny and
Henry,
Kmet, but
I would probably
the way Caleb's playing, just keep Komet down there.
Yeah. I might actually move Jonnu in front of Pat for a move.
With Wilson, I'll keep him there.
He's looking better with Fred. Well, I guess with Wilson at the helm, yeah, he probably has a better shot. You probably got a good point there because Wilson was balling out. He's cooking again.
Yeah,
you guys tired of sitting,
coming off the bye,
looking kind of like that guy that's like, oh, what are you doing over here? No.
For sure,
he's doing all right.
Good stuff. All right, so Smitty says, would you trade DK for Chase Brown? That's where I draw the line. I don't know. I don't think I could do that. It would need to be Chase Brown and something else. Like, give me Chase Brown and like Cedric Tillman at least.
Yeah.
Like when DK, I mean, you just saw what Jason did, right? Like that's what DK is usually able to do. Like that might have been DK's game where he normally does that, but he was out. So,
yeah,
in my opinion, I'd want a little more.
And that's what's ruining JSN. He's always going to be behind.
Yeah, it's tough. We just need Tyler Lockett to get out of here, but Tyler Lockett's still good. Like I don't know, it's just spread around over there. So it's good for Gino. Good for Gino. Go ahead.
It's Bear Smoke Gaming. Is this Juju Smith worth holding on to?
I think so. I'm holding on to him in a couple spots just because I don't really have anything else that's worth anything. And again, Mahomes finally had like 2 back-to-back 20-point games, so I don't think he's done for a while. Obviously with D-Hop there now, Kelsey looks like he's starting to become Kelsey a little bit again. They might be actually trying to have an undefeated season, so maybe they actually have something to play for now. You know what I mean? Versus just trying to three-peat. Like maybe they actually say, hey, we can go undefeated now. Like we only have to do what we did so far for the rest of the season. We'll be good. So I want to see what happens. With D-Hop there, obviously, Worthy and these other guys haven't really done anything to, kind of push him out. And the last time we saw him on the field, he was over 100 yards. So I'll at least hold on to him and see what he does when he comes back. But
yeah, I have him in a spot or two myself, but I think it all depends on your team and your makeup and whether or not you can hold on to him or not, right? If you're doing all right on wide receiver and you just, some bench guy that he's easily droppable too. So if you're, need to move on from him, so move on from him. You know what I mean? Not that big a deal. I don't think you're losing so much of like, oh, I should have held on to him. You know what I mean? Like, but if he is something, because he's spotty, that dude's spotty at best right now. So you're just hoping for those good weeks once he gets healthy again, and hopefully that happens soon. But don't be afraid of moving on.
There it is. So Taco MG says Herbert or May this week.
Who's Drake May playing?
Drake May's playing Chicago, and you have the Chargers playing. Herbert's playing the Titans. So 2 good defenses. I think Herbert. The Bears defense is a little better. I think I'll take Herbert in this one, only because we just saw the Bears hold Kyler Murray to like 5 points. Now it's not that great of a he hasn't really been playing that great, but like still 5 points is 5 points. That's tough. It's a tough defense. I was surprised they were even Connor was even in DeMarcado. And Benson even had a fairly decent game. He even scored a touchdown. I think all 3 running backs scored a touchdown, or maybe 2. Maybe Connor was the only one that didn't score. But they were actually able to do some damage on the ground against Chicago, which I was surprised they were able to do, especially coming off that bye. So, yeah, that's I'd probably go Herbert. See if he can put up another 300. Yeah, he didn't score. It was DeMarcado and Benson. That scored the rushing touchdowns. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Herbert,
Connor still got 14.9 points. I mean, he still went 18 for 107 against Chicago. I mean, that's James Conner, man. I'm telling you. He only has 2 single-digit games all year. Everything's 14 or more.
Solid.
He's probably one of the best value picks in the draft. If anyone faded him, we were wrong.
Yeah, no, he did. He got faded by a lot of people, I think. So Santos, Mickey Ramos here. He's looking to trade Otten for Bucky Irving.
Is it Mikey or Mickey? Mikey. Looks like Mikey.
Okay. Looking to trade for Bucky Irving or Hunt. I wouldn't be trading so much for Hunt right now because Pacheco might be coming back here pretty soon, right?
Why even trade Otten, bro? Like Otten's balling. Like he's putting up more points than Bucky or Hunt. No, maybe not Hunt, but
yeah.
I mean, Hunt. You got to worry about that. The rumblings are coming now with Pacheco coming back at the end of November. So just kind of keep that in mind. So I wouldn't trade for Hunt. I mean, unless you're like trying to get wins like right now. And if you're trading on for Bucky, you're still missing a guy, next week when they go on a bye. So, yeah, I'm Bucky over Hunt, but I don't. I mean, maybe he just has a better tight end. So, I mean, if I was going to get anybody, I'd go get Bucky. But Rashad White still scored a touchdown, man. Receiving touchdown. He only had like 3 carries.
I'd go get Bucky. Period. If I did, I'd feel like you're saying Otten's falling out over there in Tampa Bay. So we got Out of Rhythm Fantasy Points. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you guys doing? Doing good?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Oh, snap. Tycoon asked us a question. Usually we're asking Tycoon questions.
I saved it.
All right. I'm on the live stream just to make sure. I'm going in order from the live stream. So whenever you skip one, it scares me.
I didn't skip one. I was going to come back to it. I just want to throw that like.
No, I know. I'm just, that's why I said it just scares me a little bit when we skip one. I still have PTSD from that missed super chat that we had a couple weeks ago.
Like, one time.
Tearing me up inside. And I haven't seen the guy come back. So I'm like, it has me worried. So I don't want to miss these people. I mean, although Tycoon and we could just text each other, but it's all good. But Zay Flowers, dynasty value in half PPR. He lost Godwin and Diggs on a strong team. Last place is selling off. 2 seconds enough for Zay? I think 2 seconds is
more than that.
Actually. Yeah, I was like, I would be happy to pay 2 seconds for Zay. I think it's less. Like you would think, because when you're thinking, like, again, he's a young wide receiver in dynasty. I guess it's half PPR.
And we just went 5 for 6, 127 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I like a second and a third, but I don't mind going 2 seconds if you need a guy. It just depends on how much Deontay Johnson played like 10 snaps, if that, like 1 snap. Like he didn't play at all. And interestingly enough, like when he did play, Zay wasn't on the field. Like I don't think they had a snap together, Zay and Deontay. It was Bateman that actually stayed on the field, and Bateman still had a fairly decent game. All things considered.
We were fading in.
Yeah, and he was the one we all thought was going to get cut out. And I swear I kept seeing Alglor make catches as well too. I was like, he's still on the team. Like I thought he wasn't even going to be. I thought he was going to be like a healthy scratch. At that point, that guy just won't go away from the NFL. I have nothing against him. I just, he must be good. Like he keeps staying. He
keeps his role, right?
Yeah, like he keeps his role. Like, yeah, and he's just will make random catches here and there. But yeah, I mean, I don't. Like I still think 2 seconds is decent. Yeah, I mean I think it's decent, but
second or third, try it. See what happens.
You paid a second for Luke McCaffrey. You wouldn't pay another second to get Zay Flowers?
Oh, starstruck.
You don't like the Zay Flowers as much as
I really don't, because it's just because he's with Lamar and the way he's just not consistent enough for me, bro.
Yeah. See, Nelson Aguilar playing 47% of the snaps almost like clockwork. This last game, 1 catch, 29 yards, and I saw that 1 catch. I was like, really? Yeah. Turn it on, and Aguilar is like, what? Anyway,
like he's just been falling out. But the other day, like Tampa Bay, he had like a whopping 3 points. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing that Zay does to you. You know what I mean? Like your highs and lows.
He hurt his ankle, man. He hurt his ankle, and he still came back and played. Like I'll take it. Like I lost DK for like 3 games.
What you got there?
All right, King Louis the 13th. Says, will Jason have better games from now on? Not with DK back. I mean, he'll have good games when DK is not there and the matchup's good. But and the thing that was interesting is Jason didn't even move out wide with Metcalf gone. I think it was Bobo that ended up playing out wide, and Jason I think played like 90% of the snaps in the slot. If someone wants to check me on that, I think that's what I remember seeing. I just thought that was interesting, but I mean, he was doing his damage, over the middle of the field, stuff like that. Just, I mean, after he had, we all thought he blew up, a couple weeks ago, and then he came back and did nothing, up until this time when Metcalf went out. So I don't know, man. I just personally don't think so. I think in Dynasty, I traded him for in Dynasty this week. Yeah. So I was happy with that. I actually traded him for I traded Olave and somebody else or something else for JSN.
You are a Reaper. And Olave, you traded him. No wonder he got the concussion.
No, I traded him away. I actually worked it the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's just because he was involved in a trade.
Juju on him and set him off.
Yeah, I just was like, finally, for once. But yeah, it hurt me in the other league though. But anyway,
so we got Max B here coming up. Start 2 flex, 2 for flex. PPR: Demarcus Robinson, Jawan Jennings, Romo Dunze, and Tank Bisbee.
I think that's my order. I think those are the 2 guys.
I think it depends if Jawan Jennings plays, right? Is he for sure playing?
Yeah, as long as Jawan Jennings is in, and if he's not, then yeah, I'd probably go Rome.
So yeah.
even with how bad Kyler was looking, like Rome had a fairly decent game. He had some nice catches, and I saw him being targeted. You'd like to see him being targeted in the end zone a little more. I think that went to Allen, and I think DJ Moore had an end zone target as well. But yeah, Rome Odunze, let me look up what his final numbers are.
Yeah, them were great.
Yeah, so
but yeah, definitely go in that order that you have him in.
No, Odunze had a good game. Yeah, 5 catches, 7 targets, 104 yards. Yeah, it was one of his better games. So that's what I mean. Yeah, he was doing good. I actually had a start him in a couple spots where I had the stack.
What's he been doing before that?
I mean 8, 6, 9, 2, and then he had a 23-point game, and not really much since. But second half breakout.
Yeah,
go get him.
I'd still be rocking Demarcus Robinson and Jawan Jennings before Rome Odunze. I just feel more comfortable with those guys.
Yeah, no, that's why I have it in that order that he has it. So
he
says, thanks for answering, Apostle. We got you, Max, for sure. So we have Julian in here saying trade Dell for Eckler. He has London, DK, Puka, and D-Hop at wide receiver with Brees, Dobbins, and Bucky at running back. I think you probably get more for Dell, or I'd rather just hold on to Dell the way people have been going down, especially with London going down. You might in DK, you might not have both this week. And if Puka wants to keep punching people, you may not have him. He could potentially get suspended as well another game, but so just be aware of that. So I wouldn't be that quick to go get to trade off Dell, and then not for Eckler, because Brian Robinson Jr., when he comes back, Eckler is going to go back kind of to that passing role. He'll still probably be decent, get you maybe like 10, 12 points on a good day, but in full PPR. But that's Brian Robinson's backfield. He's not going to get all those carries like you got this week with B-Rob out.
No. It's just because he was out. I don't see Eckler holding a spot at all there. At least not worth.
I mean, he's our boy. I mean, I don't know, Julian, if you saw our intro, go back, check out our intro. We got Eckler in our intro, so we're big time Eckler fans over here.
Yeah, don't get it wrong.
But 11 carries, 42 yards, and a touchdown. That touchdown he probably wouldn't have got. 3 carries, 41, or 3 catches, 41 yards on 4 targets. So yeah, it's that touchdown that got him good. So yeah, other than that, yeah, he's scoring like 4, 7, 10, 11, 13, 10, 11. Like he was a good double digit around there, but yeah, 17 to 20 points probably not going to get you once B-Rob's back. So
I see that Tycoon did respond. Says that's my fear once Deontay is more integrated. What might it do to Zay?
Yeah, that's kind of what we were saying too.
On that crazy offense that he got over there. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think, and what, even with all that,
it says, "Oh damn, you can't do that to your super chatters."
Yeah, see, hey, that's what happened, bro. That's why I have PTSD. That's why I'm like, let me bring this chat up like right now.
Yeah, that's why you should stay on live. I should stay on the start.
That's what I've been doing. So I figured it out. See, Frank, I'm, it's a yin and yang over here, man. We got it. We got it going on.
Exactly.
Who were we just talking about? I was just want to look someone up. Who was that?
Oh, Deontay Johnson and Zay Flowers.
No.
Eckler and Puka?
Eckler. Oh, what was I about to look up? I was about to look at something good.
Don't worry about it. We'll move on to the next question here. We got Santos Mickey Ramos. It's McBride, my starter. But Otten has some same bye.
Yeah.
All my starting running backs are on a bye week. 12, Bijan, Algier, and Bixby / Etienne, Rico, and Mason are other backs. Reason looking for Hunt or Irving is a week 12 have Brooks.
Oh, that makes sense.
So he's just trying to move. So you have depth. So that's the whole thing, is that you have depth at the tight end position, and you could just move on Otten and stay comfortable.
That's the problem with getting your handcuffs a little too early, which is what we'll talk about like on Wednesday shows for playoff push. When we start talking playoff push and getting your lineups right for that, you can't go handcuff them too early. Usually early in the year, I like to handcuff other people's running backs so that if the running back goes down, you now have an extra running back to do something with, versus just kind of playing it safe, handcuffing your own guy and then putting yourself in a tough situation when the bye week comes up, because now you have 2 roster spots and you can't drop them. Because if you're just going to drop them, you should not even been holding them this whole time and had somebody else from the get. So a little tough there. But yeah, and he has Brooks. That's if Brooks comes back. Chuba's been doing pretty good. So yeah, I mean, again, you're just looking for someone to get through on the bye weeks. And if you feel good with your wide receivers there, then yeah, I don't mind making that trade for Hunt, because you're still going to get a good month out of him. Like you're going to get a good 4 weeks out of him, and you never know. Like Pacheco come back, you can get hurt in his first game coming back, and Hunt could still be there. So, it's not a bad investment.
Hunt could have earned some spots. He could have do some time there.
Yeah, or it's more of a split. Yeah, the only thing that sucks is just you're not going to know what to do coming in there. But again, he's going to have Bijan and either Bigsby, ETN, Rico. Yeah, he's kind of more in a hero RB. Thought he was good with ETN there for a while. I don't blame you. I'm in that tough situation too, but I don't have any Bigsby because I didn't want to believe it. So now I don't know about ETN, but I still believe, man. I still believe. He just needs to get out of his little funk.
Julian Garcia, would Dell for Nico Rado be more worth it?
I still think you would be able to get more for Dell, unless I'm just valuing Dell maybe a little higher or not valuing Dowdle enough yet. I'm
valuing Dell enough, man. I was on that train, and he's been slowly working his way into that even more so. But Dell, did go 6 and 9 targets for 126 yards there. You know what I mean? But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you should be able to do more.
Back, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. So, Dowdle's
he was nowhere. It was nowhere when Nico was around, and he did have a decent season last year, and he was like they were going to be able to coexist and have a good, passing offense over there, and have, they were just being able to have 2 top wide receivers, basically, right?
Right.
Not this year so much. This was not the case this year, and we thought we were thinking. At least I did too.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking Tank Dell late just to see,
and especially with no Steph Diggs there. Yeah, and Dell was the one out of the 3 that I was getting. Unless I was getting Nico early, who we were on Nico last year. He was a much better value last year, which is kind of why I was fading him. Not because I didn't believe in him, but because I'd rather just get Dell 3 or 4 rounds, sometimes 5 rounds later than when you had to draft Nico. He hasn't really quite, I think him getting shot in the offseason and, all that other stuff, coming back from the injury and all that took him a little while. But, we saw what, he's capable of here this last week. And then let alone you put Nico on the field and have him command all that. And now Diggs not on the field. And we've seen Hutchinson and nobody else, John Mechie, none of them are commanding targets. They're not getting open. And so it'll be the Dell and Nico show when he gets back. And so that can bode even better for Dell. So to me, I'm trying to shoot higher than Rico Dowdle. I'd rather trade Dell for Brian Robinson Jr. or something. The only problem is he has a week 14 bye.
All right. So on that note, we're going to start wrapping it up here, man.
For sure. The Frogs, what's up, Frogs? Hopefully hit that like and subscribe button for us, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you do. And go check out our affiliate channels down in the description as well. We got the Fantasy Football Tavern, the Extra Point. We got our boy Tycoon with the Fantasy Boardroom, who is actually in the chat with us right now. So make sure you guys go throw them a like and subscribe as well too. And help us support the Get Right Fantasy shows, man. So what else we got here, Frank? Let's wrap these last ones up. The Frog said, I sat D-Hop for Pittman. The PTSD is real. I feel you there. Out of Rhythm Fantasy says he'd hold Dell Eckler's on the tail end of his career as well, too. Tycoon said Etienne's not even a funk. He's been injured. I agree there too. He said he's ahead of Bigsby. Make no mistake, Bigsby had twice as many carries this weekend as Etienne for far less yards. And yeah, worst case, Etienne's still going to be the PPR back there as well too. So yeah, I'm not. I just don't even want. I wanted Bigsby to be in his role like he was last year, which was nothing. Give me those 80% target, 80 percentage.
Wrap it up, Anthony. No. I gotta tell you, wrap it up.
Should I hold Dell for another week in case his value increases for a better valued RB?
Yeah, I would. What's the rush?
Yeah, unless you got to get someone to start now.
Unless you got throw out some feelers for higher end running backs that you're comfortable with.
Yeah,
that's what I would
negotiate. Yeah, just
you never know who you might get. Maybe you get another guy throwing in there, get some 2s for 1s or 2s for 2s, and then you end up better.
For sure. Santo says thanks for the help. And lastly here, just know boardroom tomorrow night with Tycoon because we do have the election, so we don't get politicky on here, but I will just say just go out and vote. I don't care which side you're voting for, just exercise your right to vote, man. That's people like myself didn't have that opportunity just not too really long ago in the course of history, so go out there and exercise that right, you guys. So there it is.
I've already voted, so I'm going to be fishing.
Oh, there. See, You're doing it the right way. That's the American way right there.
Yeah.
Gone fishing. All right, man. So that's where we'll cut it off here tonight. We appreciate you guys. Again, hopefully you guys hit that like and subscribe button for us. Frank and I will be back here for you guys on Wednesday doing roster management, as other folks might like to say. But we'll talk buys, sells, who we're looking to target here and get our lineups right heading into the playoffs. So make sure you guys tune back in on Wednesday for us. Of course, we'll do start sits on Friday. We have our 2 shows there. And then, of course, our affiliate channels doing the shows in between. So again, make sure you guys check us out there. And Frank, you got anything else to say? I know you're ready to just end the stream, but you got anything else?
Tired. Hey, thank you for watching. Thanks for coming out so late with us. We
appreciate it.
We're late running, but we appreciate you guys coming on here, and hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you take something away from this that helps your fantasy team, to help you, get another win, man. We're one more week going in here, getting close to playoff time. So hopefully we get a good playoff push here.
For sure. I don't know if you noticed, but my chair's been like lowering as the whole show's like been going down. I feel like, did you ever watch In Living Color? The head detective? Like that's what I feel like right now. I feel like the head detective at the moment. Anyway, all right, guys. So we'll see you on Wednesday. Peace out, man. Good luck. And we'll be back here for roster management on Wednesday. Later.
Sounds good.
Wanted to write fantasy is the play. Marking often, but